And we're live. Hello.
Hi.
My name's Diana.
And I'm Alexis.
And welcome back to another wonderful Mentor Monday.
So, Diana, how have you been?
Good, pretty good. The procrastination is starting to kick in, so. And then, like senior year, last semester.
Yeah. Oh, I know
it's so
exactly
hard to motivate yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, today we have a really important topic. Not that any of our other topics weren't important, but next Monday is going to be October 1st, which means you can start filing for FAFSA. So we're going to talk a little bit about what FAFSA is, how to go about filing, what to do, just pretty much like as much as we know, we'll let you know about FAFSA. All right, so first and foremost, what is FAFSA?
So, FAFSA is a government-based application that you turn in when you're applying to, or as you're going into, university or college, so that you can get grants and loans kind of based on your own need, depending on your, dependents, where you're from, how much money you or your parents make, and things like that.
So, is it important to file right on October 1st, or can I wait until, January or February?
Well, you can apply in January and February, or you can fill out your FAFSA that date. You want to fill it out as soon as possible. So, on October 1st, as soon as it opens up, just because a lot of people are going to be filling it out as well, and there's some loans and grants that are kind of first come and first serve. So, you just want to make sure that you get in very soon.
Yeah, and you never know, with all these government forms and official stuff, you want to get there, before the time you need it, because just in case something goes wrong, you can have it filled out, and then if there's something does go wrong, you filled something out wrong, you have enough time to fix it. So where should I go to fill out this FAFSA?
So you go to FAFSA.ed.gov, and FAFSA is FAFSA, in case you need that spelling.
It's in our title, so.
Oh, yeah.
And also, just a kind of a tip out there, you will be putting in very private information, so make sure that this is a secured website. It's not one of those scammer, pretend to be FAFSA websites.
Yeah, because those are out there, and it's not good if they get all your information that you have to use to fill out your FAFSA. So just be aware of that, because FAFSA will ask you, I think, for an ID kind of number,
and social security, and all your parents' information. So identity theft is a real thing that's out there, and that happens to a lot of people. So just kind of try and help you guys avoid that. Make sure that it is a secured website. Now, when you go onto the website, there's going to be an option that says Start a New FAFSA, and you will have to make an account if you don't already have one to be logged in. So make sure that you write down that password, because it's super important, and you will be making yourself and your parents a username and password and a safety key. So just remember to keep all of that information, because in the future, if this is your first time, make an easy to remember password, but if it's your second or third time, you're going to be using those same credentials to get in to create a new FAFSA.
And so you want to make sure that that's all written down, and you can remake your thing if you do forget a password or a username or something, but you want to make sure that you don't have to do that, because it there's more room for mistakes if you have to keep remaking your.
And use an email. Make sure to use an email that you're going to be using in a year or two, because if you do have to redo your password, it's going to be so hard to remember to log in to this email that you never use, and it's just going to be a mess. So try to use an email that's very common to you and that you use all the time. And that's also where you're going to get all your notifications through FAFSA. So it's important that it's an email that you use on a regular basis.
Definitely.
So we got a question. Who can I go to if I need help with FAFSA? That's a really good question. Do you have any?
I would say your first move would probably be to go to your parents if you need their information to fill it out and stuff. But you can also go to your mentors. You can like.
I think One Stop helps out with it.
I think I'm not.
Maybe. I don't
I'm
know.
not 100% sure. So I don't know if you could go to them for that specifically, because they do they do like some stuff with FAFSA, but I'm not sure if it's like everything.
I think I heard one of the other mentors mention that there's like a group on campus that helps you out if you have any questions. Oh, Cafe College. Yeah, that's a perfect place. I completely forgot about it. Cafe College is a nonprofit organization, and like it's a building downtown across from the downtown campus.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually do have people there who are specialized in FAFSA and can help you out. That's actually where I got help my first year.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I completely heard of that. That's
yeah,
very cool.
It's a really cool building across the highway from the downtown campus. So if you want to ride the shuttle that goes from main campus downtown campus, and then cross the little underneath the highway, that's where Cafe College is. It's a great place to go get help with FAFSA if you have any questions.
Okay.
And then we have another question. When is the deadline for FAFSA? There isn't really a hard deadline, right?
I don't think so. I want to say that it's sometime like in the spring, like during the springtime.
Mm-hmm.
But I know it's because it's more like first come first serve. It's kind of like it kind of just dwindles down, like basically until it's over. But I think you can fill it out at any time, and then they'll either save it for the next year, or you can like fill it out and do it yourself, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's what I've heard in the past, is that because it's like on a first come first serve basis, they kind of go until the money runs out. So you do want to apply as soon as possible. So my recommendation, as October starts, just hit it and fill it out and get out of the way in October. And then you won't have to worry about deadlines and stuff like that. Also, procrastination is bad. So
yeah, definitely. It opens on October 1st, so you should start like thinking about it right now.
Mm-hmm. So that's why, like, get all of the information gathered, talk to your parents, make sure that you can fill that out, the first week of October.
Mm-hmm.
Another very useful resource that helps, we already talked about, Cafe College. They accept walk-ins, and so you walk in, get paired with an advisor, and they'll go step by step to help you fill it out. Now the second step, filling out demographics. This is the information such as your name, date of birth, etc. If you have completed FAFSA form in the past and you're logged into that same account, they'll automatically populate it using your FAFSA ID or FSA ID, and a lot of your personal information will be prepared for you to save. And all you have to do is just revise it, make sure it's still current, and go on.
I think that's like the simplest part of the FAFSA kind of form, is filling out your own like demographics and everything, but it's still really important because they use all of that.
And then also make sure that when you are filling it out, don't use nicknames. Use the names that are on your social security card, your driver's license, any government official document. Make sure to use that name, because obviously they're not going to be looking for like Johnny, unless Johnny is your real name.
It's your government name.
But make sure that it is your government name. It's so that they can correlate it with your social security number. Also, another thing, I'm really bad at this, is social security number has to be exactly in the same order that you have it on your social security card.
Mm-hmm.
Filling out a background check, I wrote 6-3 instead of 3-6, and it gave me a world of a trouble.
Yeah, that's very important to look at that. And I mean, for a lot of things, as you grow up and you become an adult, you'll need to like know your social security number for jobs and things like that. So it's always important to have that and keep your card in a safe place, because your mom's not going to carry it for you all the time. So.
Also, do not carry your card in your wallet, because IDs and credit cards can be replaced, but your social security number, once somebody has that, you pretty much have like control of your life. So
yeah, it's very, very hard to come back from that.
So make sure that you keep that in a very secure place and don't carry it around with you. Alright, so next step.
You're going to list all the schools that you want your FAFSA information to be sent, because the way that FAFSA works is they send this information to your universities or your colleges, and your colleges then decide like what kind of scholarships they're going to give you or be able to give you with your demographics and your dependency and your income. And then there are also like any loans or what any kind of loans, which we can talk a little bit more about that later, but in grants and things like that. It just, the schools look at all of that so they can determine how much money they can give you and how much money you have to give them, basically.
And sometimes if you're looking at a school, at like specific scholarships that are at that school, some of them are based off of your score from your FAFSA. So it's important that they have that score, otherwise you're just going to kind of throw you in the pile that doesn't get the scholarship or doesn't get considered for the scholarship. So make sure you have that. Also, even if you are thinking, let's say next year you're kind of debating if you want to stay here at UTSA or transfer to another school, send your FAFSA, list both schools. Because it never hurts, last minute stuff always happens. And so you'd rather play it safe and send it to a school and then end up not going to that school than, going to a school and not having your FAFSA there.
Exactly.
So answering dependency question or dependency status questions. So the dependency guidelines are set by Congress and are different from those used by the IRS. Even if you live on your own, support yourself, and file taxes on your own, you may still be considered a dependent student for federal student aid purposes. So that gets into a whole nother mess of things. I know that I was looking at going to grad school in California, and I'm still considered out of state because until 25, I think I still am considered a dependent of my parent. And because my parents live in Texas, I'd be considered out of state. So be very careful of that. So if you are determined to be a dependent student, you'll be required to report information about your parents. If you're determined to be an independent student, you won't have to provide parental information, and you can skip the next step. A quick tip from what I've seen, it is really difficult and rare to be independent student. So just make sure that you look at the rules, make sure you read over the guidelines before you answer that question. Because another thing is, you want to be careful what you put on this FAFSA because it is a government document. Any form of lying on it is actually really, really bad and can
even
affect.
If you don't mean to, because you can. Because I don't live with my parents because my parents live far away. So I wouldn't technically be dependent on them because I don't live in their house or anything like that. But I'm still a dependent just because I'm a student, and that's how things work.
Yep. And so just be very careful and read everything twice, just to make sure, because again, you don't want to get caught lying, because I guess the easiest way out of this, or least punishing way, is they just don't give you anything. But then again,
which can be really hard.
That can
and that could set you back.
And on government documents saying, oh, I didn't read the full thing, I didn't know, doesn't cover it. So make sure that you're reading. If you have questions, again, go to Cafe College. They're the experts. They know everything that is to do with FAFSA. Next step.
So next, if you are dependent, most of us are, you're going to fill out your parents' demographics as well. And, some things maybe your permanent address, that is going to be the same as your own. But you're going to need their, I think, do you need their birthdays and things like that? I do know you need their social security numbers. And the household, say, for me, I guess myself as an example, I live in a single parent household where my mom is the head of the household, and there are 3 of us, 3 children with her, so I'd have to fill all of that out in the FAFSA so they can tell kind of how the house is set up, basically.
You also have to fill out information if you do have siblings about if they're in college or not, because that's another determinant. You have to fill out the level of education that your parents have had, their income. So you need to know all of this before starting your FAFSA. And another thing is I'm pretty sure that FAFSA has a timer, so if you don't answer, you don't respond within a given amount of time, they'll sign you out. So that's you don't want to be in the middle of your FAFSA when you're calling and trying to get a hold of people, and then it logs you out and you have to log back in and find your way back to the forum and all of that stuff.
Yes, but you can save your FAFSA for later and then come back to it and fill it out again. So if you really don't know and you're waiting for someone to give you an answer, save everything, and then you can come back to it and fill all of that out.
We got a question. Does my income count? So let's say you're a student, you're making your own money. Does that count towards submitting FAFSA? From what I've seen, when I've filled mine out, it never asked me what my income was. They were more concerned, since I was a dependent, they were more concerned on my parents' income.
Yeah, mine, I've done both, but I think really what they look for is your tax information.
Yeah.
And if you're a dependent, they do do your parents as well, but they will ask for yours. And your universities will ask for yours. So just be prepared to have both kind of information. I think through FAFSA you can do an IRS kind of tool, and it will automatically fill it out for you, or you have to actually print out the report and then give it to your financial aid office, which for here would be One Stop. But yeah, your income does count. Even if you are dependent, I think it's still it depends kind of how much you make, really.
I did this back when I didn't have a job, so I was in between jobs, so I don't remember if I had to answer a question like this.
Yes, and it also depends on what time, because your FAFSA is not going to count what you're making this year.
Yeah.
It's going to count what you made last year. Even if we were doing it in October, it's still going to ask you questions about 2017 or 2016 or something like that. So be prepared for that. Don't just count on what you're making right now. Count on what you made. Even if you started working November of last year, still you need to count that when you do your taxes and stuff.
Basically, what you filled out for your last tax back in April, it's going to be that same income that you're going to be using to fill out this FAFSA. So now onto the important stuff. Filling out your financial information kind of goes with this question. Here's where you and your parents, if applicable, will provide your financial information. This step is incredibly simple if you use the IRS data retrieval tool. And so this tool basically allows you to import your IRS tax information into FAFSA with just a few clicks. Using the tool also may reduce the amount of paperwork you need to provide. Like Alexa said, instead of having to print out your paperwork, you can just use this tool and submit everything all at once together. So if you're eligible to use it, please do. Super easy, according to Alexis.
Yes, it is easy.
And to access the tool, indicate that you've already completed taxes on the student or parent finances page. And so if you're eligible, you'll see the link appear, and it'll say link to IRS. Click on it, and it'll take you to the tool.
And I think another important thing of this, and it also kind of goes into when you fill out your FAFSA, because with the data retrieval tool, sometimes you can't do it online if you say, I think I couldn't do it because I didn't have a credit card or anything like that that went with IRS. I'm not sure why exactly, but I still have the time to kind of fill it out and do it manually, because I gave myself enough time in between filling out the FAFSA. So I think that's also important. The IRS, the financial information part, is probably the most important part of your FAFSA, because that's going to really make or break how much money that you are able to get for school and stuff. So
Yep.
Be very careful with that section.
It's super important. Just like every part of this form, but that one, like Alexis said, is definitely going to be the part that they're looking at heavily to determine, I guess, your score or how much you can contribute to your college tuition.
Right.
And so the last step, signing and submitting your FAFSA.
So you electronically sign your FAFSA, and if your parent is also filling it out, you they also have to fill it out, kind of using that FSA ID. What does that stand for?
FAFSA submission of, I don't know.
So you kind of sign it through that way. I don't think you really even have to sign it, but you put in your name, you put in your ID, and you submit it, and that's basically stating everything in here is correct, and you've done it all, and your parent has done it all, and yeah. It's your little check of approval on the form.
Yep. So I'm sure that before that you sign and submit, it'll lead you to a page where you review all of your information.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure to take time to actually review it. I know I myself mix up numbers all the time, so that's super crucial for me to make sure that I've got all my social security, birthdays, all that stuff important.
Mm-hmm.
And then some extra tips before you submit. If you or your parent forgot your FSA ID, you can retrieve it. Using a tool on there, it says retrieve FSA ID.
Yeah, basically it's just through the email. Myself and my mom have both forgotten several times what the FSA ID is, and you kind of just go back and you I think you put in your email, the email you used to make the account, and then it sends you a new one, and then you have to kind of redo it. It's not hard, it's just kind of tedious when you're trying to actually fill out your form.
Speaking of FSA IDs, make sure that your parent and you don't mix up your FSA IDs. This is a huge common error that we see all the time, and it's why it's incredibly important that each person uses the ID that was assigned to them, that they created.
And make sure if you have if you have both your parents filling out the form, make sure that they don't also kind of mix it up. Make sure they're filling out the correct form. Your dad is filling out the form for the father, and your mom is filling out, or whatever. Parent 1 and parent 2 are filling out the right forms, basically. Just and same thing with the IDs. Don't get them mixed up.
And if you have multiple siblings that are filling out FAFSA, your parents can use the same FSA ID on both forms, but again, don't confuse between people. So the same person can have the same ID, but no matter how many forms they're filling out, but keep it with the same person type of thing.
Mm-hmm. And so we talked a lot about signing and submitting the FAFSA, and you don't have to fill it out or sign it with the FSA ID, but the alternative is I think printing out the page, signing it, and then having to send it in, which just takes a lot of time. Yeah, it's tedious. It's kind of the whole thing. So we would definitely recommend that you use the FSA ID, and that also helps you when you have to go back and if you need to change anything, if maybe you want to go to a different school and you want to add a school or something like that, or anything, you can use that ID, and it just makes everything easier.
And then also, but in the event that you're unable to use that ID, what you can do is from the sign and submit page, select other options to sign and submit, then choose print a signature page, and just keep in mind that your FAFSA form will take longer to process if you choose this route.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we want the quickest way and the quickest to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we talked about filling out FAFSA and filling out and submitting it and everything, what are some benefits of FAFSA?
So I think a benefit of FAFSA, for me personally, is just it makes it easier when because like I said, I'm from a single parent household, so there's a lot less with multiple children, so there's a lot less to go around and stuff, and putting that in also makes it easier when you want to schools can see that and say oh, this person has a need and they have all of this, so we can have this scholarship for them. And you're also applying at the same time. You should be also applying to these different scholarships, and your FAFSA will kind of reflect that, I think.
Yeah.
And also if you are in a, like, if your parents are in like a certain, I think, income sort of bracket, you're also eligible to get like a Pell Grant and stuff, which does help a lot, like when you're looking for like money, basically.
So at the end of FAFSA, it gives you kind of like your percent contribution, and so that percent contribution either means you need to find scholarships, take out loans, or pay out of pocket for that. But the federal government will help out with the, or is it with the federal government? That will help out with the percent that you don't have to. So let's say it comes out, they're like, you know what, 50% you have to pay for. Now let's say your tuition is $4,000. You only have to pay or find the money for 2,000 of those dollars, and the rest will be kind of covered for you. And like Alexis said, the university is not going to go to each student and say, okay, how many parents are in your household, how many siblings are in college, all of that stuff. FAFSA is a great way for letting your college know, hey, we're kind of like, you know, needing help here. There's like 3 of us going to college. It would be really great if you lent some, or if you gave us some scholarships and stuff like that.
And also, you can, I think there is an option in FAFSA where if you're living on campus or off campus and living kind of not in your permanent address, which also determines a lot, because that's a whole nother expense that you have to deal with. Like, if you're not living in your parents' house, you have to live somewhere. And if you're living on campus, you know, maybe they can give you more money for that, or maybe, you know, they can help, you know, kind of help you figure it out that way.
It's basically you letting your university know all of the financial struggles you're going through, whether that's, you know, living in an apartment, living on campus, all that stuff. To be work-study eligible, you have to have a FAFSA, and FAFSA will determine it. So work-study, a little bit about it, is basically you work on campus, and that's how you pay for your tuition. So you can either have, you know, a regular job that gives you like an income, or you can have work-study that helps pay off your tuition, or your, like if you're living on campus, your room and board, stuff like that. Now on to loans. I know that there are 2 major types of loans, and your eligibility for either loan is determined by FAFSA. Do you want to go into like what those loans are?
I know that there's subsidized and unsubsidized loans, and I think subsidized loans are like there's not an extra, is it interest or?
So the way I know it is unsubsidized is you don't get interest incurred until I think 6 months after you've graduated, which is great because let's say you know, you're not going to school to make money, so you can't pay off those student loans. So 6 months gives you that buffer room to find a job to start paying off those loans. Otherwise, it's really just growing money, and you're just kind of like in a bigger debt than when you started. Unsubsidized, on the other hand, the moment you take the money out, whether you use it that instant or you use it like 6 months down the road, or you know you're in school or not in school, it starts to incur interest. So that being said, like imagine taking out a $10,000 loan, and it's like even 10% interest, like it's gonna ramp up real quick. So there's those 2 types of, and so that's even another thing, is like maybe you don't have the grades, maybe you don't have like all of the stuff that scholarships are looking at. FAFSA helps you get loans that are probably better for you in the long term. Yeah,
and don't feel bad about having to take out loans, because people take out loans like all the time, and like it's the goal is to not like to have like all the scholarships and all the grants, but it's not always realistic. So you know, just make sure that you're being realistic when you're looking at like all your financial aid options.
And one of the best, like, I guess, advices I heard from a high school teacher of mine was never think of a loan as a negative thing, especially because you're putting it towards a degree. Think of it as investing in your future. Because in the long run, what you're going to be making with the job that you got because of that degree is going to outweigh what you had to take out in loans. And so it's definitely worth it, and at the end of the day, to take out that extra loan or whatnot to finish that semester, to finish that degree, because, you know, in the long run, you're going to definitely be in a better place with the degree. So I'm glad you brought that up. It's really good, because I know a lot of people think of this like negative stigma between around taking
when you
out
hear
loans.
loans, everybody freezes up.
But hey, think about it like, once you start working, you start paying off. Just be conscious of that. Like, it's like a loan that you do have to pay off eventually.
Yeah, don't forget that it's there.
But yeah, do you have any more tips and tricks on FAFSA?
I don't think so. I would really just say, like, scholarships, definitely keep looking at them and keep filling them out and stuff like that, because those are they're everywhere, especially on campus. Like, I think there's a scholarship office now that like has them all like compiled, but all these different colleges have scholarships. You just have to find them, and because a lot of people don't know about them, they won't fill them out, and then the money just kind of like sits there. So yeah.
There was this one scholarship where they had enough money for like 10 people and only 8 people applied. And I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And because the deadline was closed and everything, all 8 people got the money, but they still had like leftovers. So you never know the situation.
Yeah. And even if you don't necessarily fit into like every little box, like there are some, if you apply and like maybe professor in that college, like they might be able to like kind of fight for you and like vouch. Yeah, exactly. Like vouch for you. Like, oh hey, I know this person, and like we don't have as many applicants, so like I think we should give it to them, because a lot of them. I think one of the big things that keeps you from applying is that you have to be a Bexar County resident to receive a lot of these scholarships that are like on campus in the college. And I know, I mean, a lot of people aren't, even if they like live in San Antonio, they're still they're not necessarily from Bexar County, And of course, if you just like live here just for school, you're not technically a resident. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But like apply anyways. Because
definitely. I know, like even if you're, it says have to have a 3.0, but you have like a 2.9. Just apply. I mean, it's not going to cost you anything. And at the end of the day, if you get it, hey, bonus. If you don't, you're back where you started. Mm-hmm. You really don't lose anything.
Yeah. That's a good point that you don't have to pay anything. Like, these applications are free, so you can just fill out however many you want.
And another great thing about FAFSA is that like almost every scholarship that I've applied to asks me about my FAFSA information and to submit like my FAFSA information. So you do need it if you're applying for a lot. Like I would say like 90% of scholarships ask about it, because a lot of scholarships are need-based. So if you prove a need and you have the grades, they're gonna throw money at you.
Yeah.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
So anything else?
I think that's all for FAFSA financially. But if you have any more questions, like, please put them down in the chat, in the comments below.
If you want to look for scholarships and you can't find any on campus, Cafe College is also a great place for scholarships. They're just really great for anything you need college-wise. Sorry, I'm just remembering all this stuff now. But definitely, put them in the comments below. Send them to us on our social media, or take a visit down to Cafe College. If you live on campus, UTSA has a shuttle that runs during the day from main campus to downtown campus. So take a ride on that shuttle, go to Cafe College, get some help. It's totally, free of charge, and in the end, it's going to help you. Yeah. So we'll go into some upcoming events for this week.
Let's look at what events we have. I do know that there's a blood drive going on. Yes. Today to is that for today? Yeah, it is for today. I think it should be going on all week. Okay. Usually the blood drives do from like 11 a.m. to 4.
The garage?
Yes.
Nice.
By the Jimenez garage. And it's in like a bus.
You can't miss it.
Yeah.
It's like a white bus. It says like donate blood.
Yeah, like donate blood. It's everywhere. And most of the time they give like people that donate like free shirts or like coupons
ATV cards.
Yeah, something cards. Like that. So if you can, cookies too. There is
there's Zumba today at not today. Monday. Oh wait, no, it is today.
That is today.
So Zumba today, September 24th, at 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. in ITC. What's ITC?
ITC, is that a building?
I don't know. ITC 10103. So if you find it, please let us know where it's at.
Yeah. And there is also tomorrow a story circle from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at the main building, 2.312.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it. A Moment to Breathe will be Wednesday, September 26th.
This Wednesday.
Yeah, this Wednesday at 12:15 to 12:45 in the Student Union 20308.
And then the SolidWorks workshop is this Thursday.
Nice.
On the 27th from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. in the is that the engineering building?
Yep.
Engineering building 20426B.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's one of the computer labs over there.
Okay.
There's a Poetry Slam Part 1 this Thursday also from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. in the Student Union Ski Lounge. So check it out.
And there are free dental screenings this Friday, the 28th, from 1:30 to 3:45 p.m. at the Rec Center in the 1.806 room.
Cool. This weekend is Family Weekend, starting Friday, September 28th, so this Friday, at 1 p.m., and it'll last until about 10 p.m. that day, and it's just going to be all over main campus.
Bring your family out. And then this Friday, and I think Saturday as well, they'll be showing Toy Story in the Student Union Rotama. So on Friday, there's 2 showings, one at 6 p.m. and then one at 9 p.m. And then I think they also have one on Saturdays, like at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
So yeah, get your friends, go. They have free popcorn. It's really nice, and the Rotama, like, there's a lot of seats. So.
And if you have kids, maybe like bring your toddlers or children, because it's Toy Story.
Yeah, Toy Story. It's fun.
Toy Story is awesome. But that's pretty much. Oh, and October 1st is FAFSA starts, so that's going to be this upcoming Monday, so a week from today. So make sure that you apply. And also this Monday we'll have a mentor message coming up.
Yes.
Do we have a topic?
Yes, we do. Ooh. We have it's called stress management.
Ooh.
Which I think is going to be really important because midterms are coming up. So don't stress. Watch our video and relax. We're going to give you some tips, and if there's anything you want to see in that video, like, put it down in the comments and stuff.
Or like send us something on any of our social media that is down in the comments below or in the description. Become a mentor, a mentee, subscribe to our channel, like this video, all that stuff.
All the things.
And stay tuned for other stuff. And then in 2 weeks we'll be back with a Mentor Monday with UTSA campus resources. As of right now, I have the Dreamer Center is going to be making an appearance, and then the Women's Institution, Women's Studies Institution will be here as well.
Cool.
And we'll have 2 more. I need to get confirmation emails from the other 2. But we will have a resource panel, so please come out, or come to the description.
Please log in.
Log in and ask us your questions. We'll be putting all over our social media once we have a confirmed panel, so that you can come up with questions if you have any. And yeah, we hope to hear from you there. Thank you again, and as always, I'm Diana.
I'm Alexis.
Have a great day.
Bye.